And good mix of getting our developmental guys some much needed work and keeping the guys that have been playing in the games in shape and also taking some time to rest and recover, which I think is important. We in a scrimmage situation, we let our developmental guys go 3 days last week. Players of the week, so you can have their names. I want you all to know who did well. The standouts, quarterback Jarrett Dagey, threw the ball really well. Guy I'm excited about as we move forward with him. Wide receiver Isaiah Esdale, his playing time increased versus Kansas. I think you'll continue to see that. He had a really good bye week as well. On defense, Bandit Jared Bartlett, guy that we're excited about as he continues to gain weight and grow. Showed some really good rush off the edge last week. D tackle Jalen Thornton, a guy that's playing in the interior. He was disruptive, made a bunch of plays. And then at safety, Tyke Smith. We got him a lot of reps. He's played. He will continue to play. We got him a lot of reps last week, and I thought it was big for him. Turn our attention to Texas. A very impressive team, 11th ranked team in the country, as you all know. Coach Herman in his third year there. And they've done a really good job recruiting. They're long. That's the thing that sticks out to you is their length. They got really good team speed. Kind of recap, each individual unit. One of the top special teams in the country. I think they're in the top 10 in special teams efficiency. Their punter's off to a great start. He was number one punter in the country in 2018 coming out, and he's been very good. The kicker's been extremely consistent over the last 2 years, mainly touchbacks on kickoff, and he's been really solid on field goals. And their kickoff returner is their leading receiver. Now, they've returned one kickoff for a touchdown, and they're a threat in that game. Offensively, one of the best offenses in the country. They've got big numbers, total offense. They're right up there. Scoring offense, they're right up there, well over 40 points a game. Starts with Ellinger, the quarterback. He's a Heisman Trophy. I talked about him yesterday on the conference call. I think he's special. He's a tough kid. I think he's improved his passing ability. He's been extremely accurate this far. He's a tough tackle. They use him. He's a dual threat guy. They use him in the run game as well. And he's really tough to get down. And I think his personality is what that team really taking. He's a tough guy. He's a winner. Obviously, you can tell by watching him. He loves everything that Texas represents. They're extremely talented at wide receiver. DuVernay, I'll butcher that name, but number 6, he's a player. All right, he got 39 receptions through 4 games. I mean, that's difficult to do. I think he's right at the top of the country at that. Colin Johnson, it sounds like he may be back this week. He's a big play threat. He's been solid over his previous 2 years there. Well over 6'5", has an opportunity to goes and posts deep balls. He's won a lot of one-on-ones, and he's a really good player. And I think their offensive line is playing at a high level. Herb Hand does a nice job with the offensive line. I think those guys are playing at a high level. Defensively, very multiple. Base out of 3 down front. Really heavy. All of them 290 or better on the defensive line. Really, secondary-wise, give you a ton of different looks. Try to confuse the quarterback. They play a lot of different guys. I know they've had some injuries there, but they've got a lot of depth. And I can't tell a whole lot of difference between when they put their ones or the difference between their ones and their twos. I think they're really talented. A lot of team speed, especially a linebacker in the secondary. And they play a bunch of guys. They stay fresh. They play some really good offensive football teams, LSU and Oklahoma State, and I think they've done a really nice job. So wrapping up, I think it's a big game. Obviously, it's a 3:30 nationally televised game. It's going to be a great atmosphere. Strike the stadium. Look forward to see that. We're going to need our crowd. We're going to need our students. I hope they show up in big numbers, and I hope they stay. We're going to need them. The atmosphere, the home field atmosphere, advantage needs to be big. I think it's important for us this week. Also recognizing the 50th anniversary of the 1969 Peach Bowl team, 10-1 team. I think Coach Bowden's going to be here, so that's going to be a big deal. Looking forward to meeting some of those guys on Friday night in front of the game. So with that, I'll open up for questions.
Offensively, their scheme, unique from what you've seen this year, is the power quarterback run stuff so different that it makes them completely unique?
Well, I think what they do is they've got a good mix of the quarterback run game with they take shots. That's something that they've done a really good job of, not only this year through 4 games, but last year as well, is they take shots down the field and they get those shots. So I think they're really good. I think they're the best offense we played. Schematically, are they doing a bunch of different things? I don't know if they're much different than some of the other, as far as the type of plays they run, than some of the other spread teams we played. But I think from an efficiency standpoint and being able to threaten you sideline to sideline and in the deep is I think they're unique.
How do you plan for all of the unknowns with the injuries? Do you just go and do it in terms of them? You just go in and say, well, we're going to figure on them playing and plan that way, or how do you go about that?
Well, I think they're so talented on defense, and I think Tom even made a comment of it yesterday. He felt confident in those guys, and understandably so. They played a bunch of guys. Even when everybody was healthy, they played a bunch of guys. I can't tell a whole bunch of difference between the units. I know this. When we line up and play, there's going to be some really good guys in the secondary. Who it's going to be, I don't really know, but I know they're going to be good players.
When you've got talented guys, obviously, that are going to be playing, but maybe not experienced on their end, are you going to try to do more maybe RPO or deception stuff to see if you can test them?
Well, it's inexperienced versus inexperienced. So it's no. I think what we're going to do, the same thing we've tried to do over the last few weeks, is try to put our guys in the best possible scenario. Try to put our guys, especially our quarterback, in a situation where understanding what's going to happen pre-snap, and then giving him some quick, concise reads. Our guys got to do a good job. At some point, they do a really good job mixing up coverage. At some point, they're gonna play man, and we've got to do a really good job of getting those guys' hands off and winning those battles. I think any of these big type games, okay, and they're all big at this point. We're in the Big 12 play, but it comes down to a bunch of individual one-on-one battles, and we've got to win our share to have success in this game.
When you see a team that uses multiple fronts, you try to keep things simple for your guys to handle that with all the different looks they give you.
Yeah, we've been pretty simple as far as schematically what we're doing run game wise. We try to present it in a bunch of different ways. We'll try to do that again this week. But yeah, they do a really good job. The difference in them compared to some other teams we play is they bounce around fronts, and they run a bunch of D linemen in, and they're big. You know, they've got a size advantage across the board versus us.
It looks like college football and even the NFL today, you're seeing more and more of these kind of quarterbacks that big, strong, and can run. You might have 3 of them in a row coming up. What does that do to you, and how do you handle that?
Well, I think what it does is, and we played a couple so far this year. You know, Kelly Bryant is really good at that too. He's a dual threat guy, and they're light open college football, and they put you in a bind because they throw the ball well enough that you got to cover everything, but they also they have the ability to make a play when it breaks down. And that's probably the scariest thing. Is he does a great job. If you do a quality job in secondary and you cover your guys, you know, he does a great job of breaking containment and running. And then when he scrambles, he can also find the open guy. So it's tough. You know, we've got several of them in our league, and so we've got to do as good a job. I don't think you go into the game understanding you're not necessarily going to shut them down, but you got to limit the explosive plays. That's the biggest thing.
Those explosive plays on your part, you talked a lot about needing that. How do you manufacture that, or is it just?
I think it goes down to the one-on-ones. You know, we've got to be able to win those. We've got to be able to throw the ball down there. We've got to be able to make some people miss in the open field in the run game, and we've got to generate some explosive plays. You know, when you're playing this type of offense that has the ability to put a lot of points on the board, you got to go into it understanding that, hey, you're going to make some big plays. And that doesn't necessarily mean you got to throw the ball 50 yards down the field. What it does is it means that you got to be able to break tackles, right? You got to be able to get north and south when you're running after the catch. And then those are some things we've got to do to keep the chains moving.
Is that something you keep trying to do until you get it, until it pops?
Yeah, and so that's something that was a big point of emphasis during the bye week. You know, I don't know if that's something that necessarily just happens overnight. I think it's something that gradually takes place. But that's something really going back when we had an issue with it in Missouri. That's something that we put a lot of time and effort into it, and we've gotten better running after the catch. We've gotten better breaking tackles. We're not as good as we need to be, but we've made improvements on it.
The receiver Duvernay that you mentioned seems like he's really turned into one of their favorite targets. Guy they like to go to on third down. What have you seen out of him that's made him so successful?
Duvernay, that's how you say it, and I actually got that written down, and I didn't do a very good job following my notes. But you know, here's what I think: is these guys have been in the program for a while. So when you watch him play, he's really heady. Okay, and they move him around a bunch of different spots. I think he's got a real good feel for just football in general. You know, if we weren't playing this week, I like to watch him play. You know, because he does a really good job of kind of settling in zones. He understands when it's man. He runs away from man coverage. He catches the ball just like I was talking about. Our guys needed to. He catches and gets vertical. Has the ability to make a guy miss. And like I said, and they've done a great job getting him the ball too. Especially when they had some of the other guys out, they really focused on him. And I mean, you got 39 catches through 4 games with the yardage he's put up. I think that's great production.
Do you prefer to have a big game like this early in conference play or later, or does it not matter?
I think at this point, I mean, y'all watched them. You watch most of the teams in our league. I think, you know, week in and week out, we're going to have some big games. You know, against playing against quality opponents. You know, our month of October. You know, I haven't looked much ahead, but our month of October, you know, we're going to play some really good football teams. It starts this week with Texas. I mean, they're talented, and I think that's what we're going to see as we continue through our league.
Yes, guys. I'm trying to think of what it was. Maybe last week you said that Austin done a good job in the RPO game of taking guys out of the box. And just from a layman's perspective, he doesn't run it. He doesn't keep it. He's not like Ellinger for sure, but he's doing some stuff to manipulate that. What exactly is he doing there?
And I think the last 2 weeks too, against NC State he pulled a couple, and then against Kansas he had a couple really positive plays pulling the ball, and he has done a good job in the RPO game. Probably better against NC State than he did against Kansas, but you got to you know, to prevent guys from loading the box, you got to be able to either run the ball at quarterback or you got to be able to get the ball outside. You know, it's one of the two answers, and he's done a good job RPO wise. I think that he's an effective runner. I think he's a better athlete than probably what he gets credit for. The run he had versus Kansas was really good. He kind of made a guy miss and got at the sideline there for a 10-plus game. I think he did it twice actually. But that's what, when you make throws in the RPO game, then they can't necessarily crowd the box on you. That makes sense. They have to represent, or they have to cover you and move more people. They have to play, you know, multiple safeties.
You mentioned their size, and they've got impressive size. Specifically, the middle linebacker too. They got a 250-pound unit. How do you? What are some of the things you can do when you're dealing with teams that are bigger than you like that across the board?
Yeah, well, I think that first of all, it's not something you talk about a whole lot with your guys. You know, it is what it is. They use the linebacker a lot to blitz. He's an effective blitzer. But they've got good size. And like I said, they've recruited really well. You know, Texas high school football is some of the best in the country, and they've done a really good job of picking and choosing the guys that fit their schemes. They're long. I think not only are they heavy, but they're long. You know, and the length really causes you more issue than maybe the girth or whatever. But I think what you do is you have a plan, and really what you want to do is you want to make sure your big guys are on their big guys, and that's what you got to make sure you scheme against.
Coach, how has Van Darius looked since you've been coaching him and having
Yeah, I think our expectations have to be reasonable for him. He had played in the football game in well over 2 years. And when he was out, Alabama, he played some special teams, played a little bit of defense, I think, toward the end of his career there, but not a whole lot. So, in a lot of ways, it's going to be his first college football game. He'll play some on defense, he'll play some on special teams. We've kind of, over the last 2 to 3 weeks, we've kind of started getting him reps with the first group. He got a ton of reps last week during our bye week. So he's going to be ready to play. He's excited about playing. But I think our expectations have to be reasonable. Ours as coaches are. But he's done a good job. Proud of him to this point. Looking forward to watching him, see how he does in game type settings.
You mentioned a couple of times about having to play catch up in the recruiting game. Where do you think you are now, and are you to the point where you and your staff feel comfortable selling things specific to?
You know about in the 20 class?
Well, 20 and 21
Yeah.
just the whole.
I think 21 will be our first real recruiting class. You know, I'm talking about from a time perspective where we're not playing catch up. Because recruiting now is 2+ years, and I think the 21 class will be the first class that we've gone through the whole time with. Okay, I like the way our 20 class is coming together. I think we'll make some movement here in the next couple of weeks. I think that the guys we have committed, I like them. I think they're proving that they're playing at a high level right now. So I like those guys. We got to finish strong. I think we're setting ourselves up for a strong finish in December into February. And I'm excited. We got a ton of 21 kids coming to this game, and so it's another reason why I think the atmosphere needs to be at a great level on Saturday, because we're going to have some of our, not only our 20 guys, but our 21 guys here. So hopefully we'll have future Mountaineers in the house.
You got any thoughts on the California law about players?
I was waiting. I was surprised it took this long. So here's what I'll do. I can sit up here and give you a bunch of mumbo jumbo. Bottom line is I really don't have an opinion on it. And y'all asked me literally like a bunch of questions like this, and my deal is the same. Like, I just want to know the rules. Tell me the rules, we'll abide by them. But like, I'm not into like making legislation. That's boring. I get it. But honestly, I've been trying to figure out how we're gonna get some first downs. So I hadn't really thought about what the California legislature's done. I know y'all have had some interesting takes on Twitter. I saw that. All right. Andy Stable's been talking about it nonstop. I had to just like hit my Twitter button.
Since you started talking, Pennsylvania's apparently got introduced.
All right. I'm sure we live in a copycat society. I'm sure it'll take. But I really don't have any thoughts on it. I'm not educated enough on the bill to be able to talk about it.
After how last year's game went down, and the juice that those guys have to bring here, you get the holdover guys I'm talking about. Are you sensing anything? I mean, you never have to get guys up for Texas, but the holdover from last year's team, do you sense anything special from those guys?
Well, I think coming off a bye week, anytime you're going to play, you got to play in a couple of weeks. I think there's going to be excitement. I think we'll have great energy at practice today. I don't think we'll have any problem trying to motivate them, get them ready to play. We had a lot of guys that played in that game, not a lot of guys that necessarily played vital roles in that game. For most of our guys, outside a few defensive guys in Colton, it's going to be their first real action versus Texas. So, honestly, we're not making a. Once you get into Big 12, I'll treat them all the same. This is a big one because this is the one we play this week. They happen to be ranked number 11 in the country. West Virginia had a big win against them last year, but I don't think that'll have any bearing whatsoever when we line up and kick this thing off on Saturday.
For whatever reason, fans have really latched on to this matchup. Have you gotten that sense just since you've come here?
Yeah, I think so. I think the reason I haven't played in the game. I played Texas before, but I haven't been here and played Texas. So I do get the feeling on that. I'm not sure why. You know what I mean? Like, I just haven't been here, so and I'm not trying to abate anything. I just haven't played the game, but I do feel like this is one that our fans, are excited about, and it's one they talk about in the off season as well.
Curious about them schematically. Their B linebacker, I guess number 46. Does that tip off what they're going to be, whether a 3 or 4 man front? Is that what you look for there?
No, they're really what they're doing is they're getting a rover.
Okay.
So a few teams across the country they're doing. It's kind of Clemson's doing it right now. Iowa State's been doing it. They're doing it. Texas is doing it. They've got a rover that 19 and 25 both play it. Both really good players. It's kind of a hybrid position. They can play nickel. They can play safety. They can rush off the edge. They put them in a lot of different spots for them to make plays. And so that's kind of how, when they get to their 4 down, that's kind of, they use that guy a lot.
Okay.
But both of those guys are really good players, and they make them go in a lot of different ways.
You saw film on Hakeem Bailey before you got here. How different is he now, and what kind of strides has he made?
Well, excuse me. I think he's playing with a lot more confidence. I think he's faster than he was a year ago. He and Keith both. They didn't play their best against Kansas. Okay, they didn't play their best at all. But before the Kansas game, they were both playing at an extremely high level. They didn't prepare as well during the Kansas week. I think it showed the game. I fully expect them to bounce back. But Akeem is one of our most improved players. I said this about Kelly Wickline the other day, and I think people sometimes forget. Sometimes going into your senior year, you get a big jump. And those are 2 kids that really made big jumps. And I like the way that he's approached special teams, I like the way he's approached defense. I think he's been a good mentor, a good leader on that side of the ball. He's really kind of taken some of those young guys in secondary under his wing. So I'm pleased where he's at right now.
You haven't had a lot of depth at corner. Trayshawn Miller, where is he physically?
Yeah, he's still out. Yeah, he's recovering from surgery. We hope to have him available at some point this year. He'll be a redshirt unless something drastically changes. But we hope to have him where he's available for maybe those 4 games later in the year.
You've kind of recycled your receiver core a couple times with, I guess, the off season and then during the season. And you just mentioned Esdale coming along. How much does that change? And I don't know. Has that hindered Austin at all, or has it helped maybe some of the other receivers you're trying to inspire with?
So what we did, Mike, during two-a-days is basically we two-spotted and we rotated those receivers with the quarterbacks. All right, so Austin got a ton of work throwing to really all those guys in the 2 deep. And Ali and Winston, both rotated in there, so he got a bunch of work, not only in summer on his own, but also during fall camp. So he's got a pretty good relationship as far as throwing the ball to all those guys. The receiver deal outside of Sam and really TJ Simmons, everybody else, they've had some ups and downs. We need to be more consistent. I didn't think we played very well at all at the receiver position. That's all of them in the Kansas game, and that's really why we had to go kind of to more ball control and kind of just grinded out that win in the second half, just because we didn't play great. And so for us to win, this week and really moving forward against the schedule, because our receivers got to play at a high level and they got to be able to block on the perimeter, but they also got to be able to make plays and win in those one-on-one situations. And really, a lot of who plays in the game is going to be who has the best Tuesday and Wednesday. That's probably the way it's going to be moving forward.
You try to limit the personal foul penalties as much as possible. Obviously, we got 2 against Texas last year with the whole horns down situation. Have you addressed your players?
Are we still talking about that?
Everybody around campus is.
Yeah, I'm just messing with you. We'll address it at some point. I got to get from Greg Burks. I know he gave a monologue about it at media days. I got to go back and call and ask him exactly what the penalty is. I said this on the conference call. I really to me, it's much ado about nothing. You know what I mean? I'd rather build up West Virginia than try to tear anybody else down. But I really haven't thought about it. I'll deal with it probably later in the week.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Good deal. Thank y'all.